Hey my friends, in this video I'm going to show you how to fully set up a two-step checkout in GoHighLevel, plus how to set up an abandoned cart follow-up series to increase your overall sales. And by the end of this tutorial, you'll know exactly how to create high-converting checkout forms, how to set up an optimized order process, and configure follow-ups to capture more sales. So whether you're selling digital or physical products, you'll know the exact steps you need to get it all set up. All right, so without further ado, let's jump over here to GoHighLevel. I want to show you a example of a checkout form that I've been working on the past couple of days. So a two-step checkout is a situation where you basically first are going to ask the buyer, right, for their contact information, okay? So let me go over here just to like a basic sales page. And what's gonna happen here in this two-step checkout process is when people push the button, then it's gonna open up a dialog or a pop-up in this case to ask for their email. And this is what we would consider step one of the checkout process. Okay, and the reason we do this is because a certain percentage of the people who are shopping on your website are going to get over to the cart and they're going to get cold feet before they check out, and or they're going to get distracted, or something's going to come up, and the bottom line is they don't pay and they don't check out fully, right? And so if you've ever heard the phrase abandoned cart, then this two-step checkout process is how you can accomplish being able to follow up with those customers or potential customers who almost bought but didn't quite cross the finish line. Okay, so the way we do that is we make two steps out of it. And the first step is you just get information from that prospect that you can follow up with them with. All right, so in my case, I'm just asking for email, but you could be asking for name, email, and phone number, right? And then when they hit continue, what happens is they go to the full checkout form. Okay, and what's cool in HighLevel is that no matter what you have them fill out over here, all we have to do, and I'll show you this in a second, is enable the sticky contact feature inside the checkout forms. And then what will happen is all the data that they fill out in this form will auto-populate over to this form, okay? So that then they don't have to sort of add their email twice, okay? And so then they get over here, they fill out the rest of the information, and they pay, and they complete the order. So like what I've done here, you may notice, if you know GoHighLevel, you notice that I'm not actually using their two-step checkout. I'm using the one-step checkout on this page, right? And I've set up my own custom form here. Now the reason I do that, and I've done this for lots of clients as well, some multi-10-figure a year businesses, they do this because with a traditional GoHighLevel form, you can basically, now this is like a pro tip for those of you who are watching this and maybe working with big clients, or maybe you've got a big business that's a little more complicated than the typical. What you can do with a GoHighLevel form in this kind of setup is you can have invisible fields in here. So like in the case of that one client, like they have an invisible custom variable which has affiliate IDs in here that they can pass outside of GoHighLevel to other systems through webhooks basically. And so they can do that, which the traditional GoHighLevel checkout form doesn't really allow, doesn't facilitate that. So a couple of reasons there, but the whole setup is, the theory is the same, right? Like it's two-step checkout, get their information so you can follow up, then you basically have them check out. So let's bounce in here to my GoHighLevel. All right, now the way we do this, I'm just going to jump into my example here. Okay, so you've got two types of users, right? Like you've got your kind of mobile, and then you've got your desktop checkout processes. So the look of your checkout page is really rather simple on a mobile because everything is going to be stacked in one column, right? So you don't have to worry about a bunch of dead space and stuff like that. But desktop checkout page, I do recommend kind of setting up by your form just some like a 2-column setup, and just basically kind of plan on having a bunch of stuff over in this column that kind of makes it the same size as the other column so that everything kind of stacks out. There's probably some like style sheet tricks that you can do to make this all look a little better, but you know, for me, just putting content on both sides makes it the best. And you just kind of want to reassure people on this checkout page that they're getting everything, you know, it's kind of like a reminder of everything they're getting, right? They're very clear on it. You've got your guarantee. I'm not quite finished with this, but I'll have like a testimonial over here. I've got some case studies down below. Like, it's all stuff that's designed to just help them have the confidence to enter their credit card information here and you know, move forward with the checkout, right? So what I've got here is just a basic row with 2 columns, and I've added the checkout form and then a bunch of text, right? So like if we were to do that again, so if I add a new section here, make it medium width, okay, add a row, we'll do 2 columns. Okay, so this is how we set up the checkout. So let's just put a headline here, okay? And then we can do like a image here. Okay, so this is just kind of following our same setup here, right? So you're just kind of getting all the building blocks in place, right? So then the next thing is maybe a subheadline, okay? And then you can like change your margins and spacing and all that stuff, you know, or you can just kind of put a dead paragraph in there to give yourself a little more space. And then we'll add our checkout. Now this is where you've got your 2-step or 1-step order. Okay, so in a second I'll show you the best way to use the 2-step if you're gonna do it. Because the problem with the 2-step over on this page is, I'll show you in just a second. Okay, but let's add our 2-step checkout here. Okay. And okay, let me just show you what the problem is. Like if you do a 2-column setup like this and you're using the 2-step checkout, okay, what happens is you end up with a bunch of dead space, because as people navigate from step 1 to step 2, here, let's just do that really quick. I'm going to delete this. Okay, we'll add the 2-step order in here. Okay, so still our spacing looks pretty good, right? We're a little dead spaced up at the top and bottom. But what's going to happen is, see, we've got 2 steps here. I'm going to start turning stuff off, like the shipping. Okay, so 2-step order. Let's go over here to the tabs. All right, and so we're just going to change our headline to checkout. Okay, we don't want a subheadline. So I'm just going to delete that, and then it's going to say show company name. I'm going to say hide company name. These are all defaults that happen with the checkout. Okay. Full name, email address. Now it's going to ask, do we want to show the phone number? Doesn't matter either way. Okay. I do recommend it, especially if you're selling stuff internationally, show the country code picker. Okay, and then our next thing here is the toggle shipping. Okay, and this is where, for digital products, we don't need their shipping info. Okay, so I turn that off, right? And then, you know, let's just say like 100% secure checkout. Okay. Now, boom, let me just hit save here. Okay. Cancel that. Now what you can see is happening here is we've got this huge like gapitis right here above and below. And so you think, oh, okay, well, let's just kind of move some stuff around and it'll look good. But it never really does, right? So like what'll happen here is if I go preview this page, okay, and we just put some info in here. Okay, go to step 2. Okay, well, yeah, there we go. See, now it's like you've got a much bigger checkout form here, right? So it's going to change size, right? So that's where you get things kind of messed up in your columns, okay? and then you can't quite get the spacing right. So that's why I like to do the one-step checkout here and then use the form on the other page as kind of the first step, because it accomplishes the same thing. Right, now the other thing we could theoretically do here is we could have said, instead of this, okay, so let me go back over here to our editor. Okay, so instead of putting this in here, now we could have sized this all out just right the way we wanted. Okay, and then we could put a button here. All right, so wherever my buttons are. Okay, so we could do a button, and then for our button we could open a pop-up. So see over here on the right side at the very bottom is button action. So instead of going to a website URL or something, we could open our pop-up, then we could put the whole checkout process inside of a pop-up as well. Right, okay, so let's try that approach. Okay, so we'll just leave that button there. Okay, we'll say open pop-up, and then what we'll do is just go up here to this menu, and this little guy right here that looks like a window, that's our pop-up. Okay, and so we'll do the same approach in here. We'll do a row. We don't need 2 columns in a pop-up because it's already kind of narrow. And this works for both mobile or desktop. Okay, so we'll put our headline up here, all right, and then we'll put another row, and then we will add our 2-step checkout. Okay, and see, now we can do it in here. Okay, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna touch on this pop-up settings, because there's one thing I want to change, which is I don't want the pop-up to show on exit. Right, so by default, usually it's going to show on exit, but since it's a checkout, we don't really want that for people. Right, so we'll leave that at none. We'll hit save. Okay, let's go back over here to our preview and refresh. Okay, so that's gone, right? Now we hit a button, and see our checkout is going to be inside of the pop-up. Okay, and this will work on mobile as well, right? So like we can easily, you know, kind of see how that's going to work, right? Just by moving the screen over and testing that out. So those are a couple of different options with the 2-step checkout. Okay, let's get back down here to our example. Now we already know, like, okay, we added a 2-step. All right, and 1-step is going to be just the same. Okay, you don't have to worry. All we have to do is go over here to the advanced on the 2-step order form. And then you've got these 2 buttons, step 1, step 2, right? So checkout, okay, eliminate this, and it's always the same things. It's like hide company for most people, right? If you want the phone number, that's cool. If not, just hide it. And then we want to hide the shipping info as well, okay? If we're selling digital or consulting type products where we don't need to ship anything. Okay, so there is that, and then that's our step 1 side. Now we go to step 2. Okay, most of this stuff we can leave, right? So here we just say, we'll just delete that subheadline and check out step 2. And then back to shipping. So this text you want to change since we're not having a shipping situation. And you can just delete it, and then that'll just leave a little arrow, or you can just write in something like back, right? Most of the time you don't want people, I mean, people aren't going to edit that stuff anyway, okay, because we don't ask for the shipping info. So I'm just going to delete that. We can just leave these because those just refer to these little names that you see here, item and quantity and price and stuff like that, okay. Button text, complete order, that's fine. Safe and secure. Now there's a couple of things in here we want to be sure we remember, right? So we can do cart mode or not. I often do not use that. I don't include the product description. But you can do pricing information. I've found toggling this on and off makes no difference. So that's that. And then if you do an order bump, then it's good to know that that's there, right? So if you want to see an example here, like this is an order bump. All right, so this is just set up as another product in there. And so that's another thing that's going to play with your spacing and everything, which is just something to be aware of on these, right? Okay, so we'll leave that. We can do coupon codes, and then I usually leave this enabled terms and conditions. That'll usually be set to on, but I just turn it off because always on my pages, I just put that stuff at the bottom in the footer, right? Like you don't need it on the checkout form if you're going to have it in the footer. So at least where I'm at. So, and then this is the sticky contact. Okay, so you want to be sure that's turned on, especially for situations like mine where you're collecting info from a form on the first page and then bringing them to the checkout on the second page. The sticky contact is also nice, like if you're, for example, selling a product to your email list, and so some of the people that are getting the email are already on your list, they're already your customers. When they come to check out, like all their info is already going to be in there. So it just saves them time, makes checkout like super fast. Okay. So that is that as far as the two-step order form. Now, what we want to do, the whole premise of the two-step checkout is that whole abandoned cart thing, right? So we see that here. We collect their info. Now, a certain number of people are going to get to this page. They're not going to check out, right? What do? We try to follow up with them and get them to check out. So here is what that is going to look like, okay? So since we had a form, now I'm just going to save this. All right, so you kind of get the idea of how the two-step checkout works. Let's bounce over to automations, okay? And then what we're going to do in here is we are going to set up a few different automations, right? You're going to need an abandoned cart, so that's what I have here, and I call it the 4-hour abandoned cart. So this is the one where I just send like 4 messages right away, boom, 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 in 4 hours to try to get them back. And then once they fall out of there, they go into my long-term sequence for non-buyers, which is more of a, couple of emails a week for a long time, trying to get them back to buy, right? All of this happens in the follow. Like, why do you need to do this? Because only like 3%, if you're lucky, of the people who reach your checkout page are going to buy. Okay, most people need a lot more follow-up so before they'll buy. So we just try to get those abandoned carts and push them through as best we can. Now let's take a look here at how this works. All right, so my trigger is that form that we saw here. When somebody submits this form, that triggers this, okay? So there it is, form is mobile ad bar step 1. Just pause if you kind of need to look at this stuff and process it. All right. That's our trigger. So when somebody submits that, then they're in to this automation. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is tag them, okay, that they made it through step 1 of the checkout. Then I'm going to wait, right? Because I don't want to send them any messages right away because they're still on their way. They've clicked continue here. Now they're into that automation. Now they're on this page. So I want to give them 20 minutes to check out. Okay. So we'll just kind of wait and see. And I'll show you in just a second how this all plays out. Okay, but I tag them that they've made it to step 1. We're going to wait 20 minutes. Then we're going to start sending emails. Okay. And this is where it's like, hey, it looks like you're about to check out. And then you left. What happened? Like, here's the link. Come on back. Go ahead and check out. And I send them directly to the checkout page. Like, I don't send them to the sale page that they've already done. I send them here, right? This is where they failed to continue, right? So we'll send them there. And then basically I just every, like I said, for 4 hours, we just keep following up and try to get them back. And if they don't make it, then I send them to that long-term sequence. Okay, so I just add them to that long-term workflow that we saw. Okay, and that's this. So this is where they'll get follow-ups for a long time. Now, when a sale happens, okay, let's look at this. So if they enter their credit card info and hit boom, go, and everything, when a sale happens, that puts them in this automation, okay? Here's the trigger for that one. All right, so order form submission, and then, you know, my name. Okay, but then I pull out which funnel is it in, mobile ad bar checkout. The page is this page up here, checkout 2. The product is the mobile ad bar because I've got a bump order product in there as well, so I've got to be sure to choose the right product. And the submission type is sale. So that's our trigger. So when a sale happens, they're in. Okay, and the first thing we do is we remove them from a workflow. So we just take them out of that abandoned cart sequence. So now they're not going to get a bunch of follow-up emails. Okay. And so then we tag them as a buyer, then we grant them into access for the course area where they can get their plugin in this case and the instructions and all that. And then we just kind of follow up emails and stuff like that. Okay, so that's how a sale looks. That's how you kind of basically handle the whole situation of, okay, they're in the abandoned cart sequence. How's that going to work? And if they turn into a sale, how's that going to work in terms of making sure they don't get extra emails and stuff like that? Tell them to go buy it when they've already bought it, right? So that's that. And then I've just got a separate automation here for the bump order. So that puts them into that version of the course and stuff like that. So that is a complete like 2-step checkout process in GoHighLevel. It's pretty smooth as far as how it works. And so I hope you're using it. I hope that helped you out. And if you like this, then please give it a like. And I'd love to have you as a subscriber too. So why not subscribe if you haven't already? All right. Here's a couple more videos. They're going to be showing up here in the next few seconds. And I'd love for you to check them out, support the channel, and hey, you have a great day.